Hello, everyone. In a surprising twist that has reignited controversy, Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, is once again at the center of a heated debate, this time over the legitimacy of her pregnancies. What began as fringe speculation has now exploded into mainstream discussion, with U.S. media outlets scrutinizing the circumstances surrounding the births of Archie and Lilibet. Let's be honest. If there's one thing Meghan excels at, it's staying in the spotlight, regardless of the circumstances. For someone who frequently speaks out about privacy, she has an uncanny ability to keep herself in the public eye. From carefully planned interviews to allegedly staged paparazzi photos, the contradiction is hard to ignore. She criticizes media intrusion, yet seems to fuel the very attention she claims to resent. Now, with the surrogacy rumors reaching new heights, even some of her most loyal supporters are beginning to question the narrative. Questions about Meghan Markle's transparency are gaining momentum, and this isn't just another tabloid rumor. It strikes at the very core of royal legitimacy. The debate over whether Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet are rightful heirs carries serious consequences for the line of succession. After all, the British monarchy isn't just a family. It's an institution built on rules, traditions, and, most importantly, legitimacy. If Meghan believed she could step into the most famous family in the world and rewrite the rule book to fit her own narrative, she may be in for a harsh reality check. Meghan's inconsistencies have long been her biggest weakness. Just look at the noticeable discrepancies in her pregnancy photos. One moment, her baby bump is round and prominent, and the next, it appears significantly smaller. Then there's the infamous video clip where her bump seems to fold as she bends over, an image so strange it wouldn't be out of place in a soap opera. While her supporters dismiss these concerns as baseless conspiracy theories, the growing body of evidence suggests otherwise. Even Hollywood, a place where illusions are crafted with precision, couldn't come up with a storyline this unbelievable. And then there's Meghan's behavior during these so-called pregnancies. Instead of embracing the moment with the grace and humility expected of a royal, she seemed more focused on turning every public appearance into a theatrical spectacle. From exaggerated hand gestures to eye-catching wardrobe choices, it felt less like a mother-to-be embracing her journey and more like a celebrity desperate to stay in the spotlight. The silence from Meghan regarding these allegations is impossible to ignore. If her pregnancies were genuine, why not release indisputable proof and put the speculation to rest once and for all? After all, she and Harry have never hesitated to overshare when it serves their narrative. But, instead of transparency, Meghan has chosen to hide behind vague statements and carefully crafted PR messaging, leaving the door wide open for even more speculation. And let's be honest, when someone insists on controlling the narrative without offering concrete evidence, it only raises more questions. Lady Colin Campbell, never one to back down from controversy, has been outspoken about the need for clarity. Her call for a palace investigation isn't just about satisfying public curiosity. It's about protecting the integrity of the monarchy. After all, if Meghan's claims of carrying both children are true, why resist such an inquiry? Transparency, as Meghan often preaches, should work both ways. Yet her refusal to engage isn't just suspicious, it's revealing. Meghan is known for meticulously curating every aspect of her public image, from the perfect lighting in her interviews to the carefully chosen angles of her photos. The idea that she would allow such a major milestone in her life to remain clouded in secrecy goes against everything she has done in the past. The more she avoids these questions, the more it seems like she has something to hide. Adding to the controversy is the revelation about Archie's birth certificate. The fact that it was amended just days after his birth to include Meghan's royal title only deepens the mystery and raises even more questions. Serious questions remain about Meghan's true intentions. Was the change to Archie's birth certificate simply a clerical error, or was it a calculated move to secure her position within the royal family? Either way, it's yet another example of her ongoing pursuit of status and validation. Even Meghan's estranged family members have weighed in. Samantha Markle's call for honesty echoes the concerns of many who believe Meghan has built her public image on half-truths and carefully crafted omissions. While some may dismiss Samantha's comments as sibling rivalry, her arguments about transparency are difficult to ignore. If Meghan truly has nothing to hide, why not address the rumors directly? At the heart of this controversy is Meghan's relentless need for control. From stepping away from royal duties to orchestrating high-profile interviews, her actions always seem designed to portray herself as the victim while avoiding accountability. The surrogacy allegations follow the same pattern. Rather than confronting the issue head-on, Meghan has chosen to play the role of the long-suffering martyr, a narrative she continues to embrace. She seems to thrive on the attention, but the cracks in her carefully curated image are becoming harder to ignore. Even some of her most loyal supporters are beginning to question her true motives. The public's growing skepticism isn't just about Meghan's actions. It reflects her failure to genuinely connect with the very people she claims to champion. Despite presenting herself as a humanitarian and advocate, Meghan's behavior often comes across as self-serving. Whether it's her extravagant lifestyle, constant legal battles, or habit of airing personal grievances, she has repeatedly shown more interest in building her brand than fostering real connections. In the court of public opinion, Meghan is rapidly losing ground. Polls indicate that trust in her and Harry has plummeted, with many Britons now seeing them as out of touch and opportunistic. The surrogacy controversy has only fueled the fire, casting further doubt on their credibility. While Meghan might dismiss the criticism as jealousy or misogyny, the reality is far more complex. People are growing tired of the double standards and contradictions. As the scrutiny around Meghan intensifies, it's becoming clear that her carefully crafted narrative is falling apart. Whether or not the surrogacy rumors are true, the fact that they've gained so much attention says a lot about how the public perceives her. Meghan has spent years trying to control the narrative, but in doing so, she's made herself more vulnerable to criticism. At this point, a return to the royal family seems almost impossible. The British public, who values tradition and integrity, is unlikely to forgive what they see as her betrayals. With King Charles and Prince William prioritizing the monarchy's stability over personal relationships, Meghan and Harry's self-imposed exile appears to be permanent. While Meghan may have hoped to carve out a new role for herself on the global stage, her missteps and controversies have left her reputation in ruins. Take, for example, her self-proclaimed stance as an advocate. Meghan often emphasizes her commitment to truth, claiming to be dedicated to honesty in everything from interviews and public appearances to her various campaigns. However, time and again, her actions seem to contradict her words. Whether it's her questionable connections with high-profile Hollywood figures or her carefully scripted stories, Meghan's version of truth often seems more like a tailored narrative designed to support her brand. What she presents as transparency often feels more like calculated PR moves, crafted to generate sympathy and maintain her relevance. Her Netflix docuseries, which was marketed as a raw and unfiltered look into her life, turned out to be more of a polished, overproduced reality show. Instead of offering real insights, it provided viewers with carefully selected soundbites and staged moments, all aimed at presenting Meghan in the most favorable light. Authenticity? Hardly. This leads us to an uncomfortable truth about Meghan: her obsession with controlling the narrative. It's well known that she takes a meticulous approach to managing her public image. But scratch beneath the surface, and Meghan's actions tell a different story. For someone who claims to support women, she has an uncanny ability to alienate them. From her reported treatment of staff members to her subtle jabs at other high-profile women, Meghan's version of feminism often feels more performative than genuine. The contradictions in Meghan's approach to female empowerment are hard to ignore. She often portrays herself as a victim of misogyny, yet her actions suggest she's willing to use her status as a woman to serve her narrative when it benefits her. Take, for example, her famous comments about being a young girl watching Cinderella, only to later position herself as someone who breaks the glass slipper by rejecting traditional roles. This inconsistency isn't just confusing, it's exhausting. Then there's Meghan's obsession with self-promotion, which frequently overshadows the causes she claims to champion. From book deals to podcasts to lifestyle blogs, everything she touches seems to become another platform to boost her brand. There's nothing wrong with using fame to create opportunities, but Meghan's constant pursuit of the spotlight often feels more about staying relevant than advancing meaningful conversations. It's this relentless self-promotion that has alienated so many people. Meghan's critics aren't just outsiders. They include disillusioned supporters who have grown weary of what they see as her duplicity. The more Meghan talks about breaking barriers and paving the way for others, the clearer it becomes that her primary focus is paving the way for herself. The real issue, however, is her complicated relationship with the media. For someone who claims to despise the press, she sure spends a lot of time courting it. From her carefully staged interviews to her high-profile lawsuits against tabloids, Meghan's media presence is as complex as it is contradictory. On one hand, she condemns the invasion of her privacy. On the other, she seems to thrive on the attention it brings. This contradiction is perhaps best illustrated by, despite Meghan's repeated claims of wanting to protect her family's privacy, she is often seen engaging in activities that seem designed to attract attention. Whether it's her perfectly timed outings or her tendency to drop subtle hints about her whereabouts, her actions suggest she's willing to play the media game when it suits her. Adding to the intrigue is Meghan's tendency to position herself as an outsider. She often frames her struggles as the result of being misunderstood or unfairly judged, painting herself as someone fighting against an unjust system. However, this narrative falls apart when you consider the privileges she has enjoyed. Privileges most people can only dream of. From her Hollywood connections to her royal title, Meghan has had opportunities that far exceed the challenges she claims to face. Her outsider narrative also fails to acknowledge her role in perpetuating the very dynamics she says she wants to dismantle. Meghan often talks about breaking down barriers and challenging outdated systems, yet Meghan's actions suggest she relies on the very systems she claims to oppose to boost her status. Whether it's using her royal title to lend credibility to her projects or aligning herself with influential figures, her actions speak louder than her words. Then there's the issue of trust. Meghan's repeated claims of being misrepresented have sparked growing skepticism about her credibility. From inconsistencies in her interviews to unclear timelines for her various projects, it's becoming harder to separate fact from fiction. This lack of clarity isn't just a minor inconvenience, it's a major red flag. Meghan's credibility issues are perhaps most noticeable in her charitable efforts. While she often highlights her commitment to philanthropy, her actions frequently feel more like PR stunts than genuine attempts to make a difference. From the controversy surrounding her Archewell Foundation to questions about how much of her personal wealth she's actually donated, Meghan's philanthropic efforts often leave more questions than answers. All of this points to a larger issue: Meghan's inability to truly connect with people. Despite her best efforts to present herself as relatable and down-to-earth, her actions often come across as calculated and insincere. Whether it's her habit of name-dropping influential figures or framing every struggle as a personal triumph, Meghan's public relations strategy feels more like a sales pitch than a conversation. Ultimately, Meghan's greatest flaw is her refusal to confront her own contradictions. Instead of addressing the inconsistencies in her narrative, she doubles down on them, creating an endless cycle of speculation and skepticism. This refusal to engage honestly with the public isn't just a missed opportunity. It's a betrayal of the trust she claims to value so deeply. As the scrutiny grows, how Meghan handles these challenges will play a major role in shaping her legacy. But one thing is clear. If she continues down this path of self-serving contradictions, her reputation will only continue to unravel. Meghan's attempts to position herself as a force for good will ultimately feel empty. For someone so focused on controlling the narrative, she may soon find herself at the mercy of a public that has grown weary of the act. The Meghan Markle saga, or, more fittingly, the Meghan Markle soap opera, continues to provide an endless stream of material for public scrutiny, and let's be honest, collective eye rolls. It's almost impressive how someone with so much privilege and opportunity can still manage to portray herself as the perpetual victim in every situation. If there were an Olympic medal for self-pity and narrative manipulation, Meghan would undoubtedly be standing on the podium, delivering yet another overly rehearsed speech about how misunderstood she is. Let's be clear, Meghan is not some ordinary woman facing extraordinary challenges. She is a carefully crafted brand, a walking, talking PR campaign, with a knack for criticizing the very system she eagerly exploits. Meghan's narrative isn't one of resilience or bravery, it's one of entitlement, wrapped in a thin layer of faux activism. For someone who constantly preaches the importance of truth, Meghan seems to have a rather shaky relationship with it. Take her much-hyped narrative of being a trailblazer for change. It's a catchy line, sure, but what does it really mean when you strip away the buzzwords and media sound bites? What you're left with is a woman who seems more focused on controlling headlines than making a real, meaningful impact. Her causes, while noble on the surface, often feel like mere accessories to her brand, a set of talking points for the next high-profile interview or public appearance. It's activism as performance art, and Meghan is the undisputed queen of the stage. And can we talk about her remarkable ability to twist every situation to her advantage? Meghan doesn't just play the victim card, she's built an entire deck out of it. Whether it's the royal family, the media, or even her estranged relatives, everyone is somehow cast as the villain in her story. The sheer audacity of Meghan framing herself as a modern-day Cinderella is almost laughable, especially when you consider that, unlike Cinderella, Meghan wasn't scrubbing floors or toiling away in obscurity. She was mingling with Hollywood elites and plotting her rise to fame long before she ever stepped foot in Kensington Palace. But Meghan's victim narrative doesn't just stretch credibility. It insults the intelligence of anyone paying attention. How does someone who lived in a multi-million-dollar mansion, jet-setted across the globe, and married into one of the most famous families on Earth still manage to position herself as the underdog? It's a question that could deserve its own Netflix special, though I suspect the answer would involve more carefully edited montages and fewer hard truths. Speaking of Netflix, let's not forget the infamous docuseries that promised to tell their side of the story. Spoiler alert, it didn't. Instead, it turned into yet another exercise in self-aggrandizement, with Meghan and Harry painting themselves as misunderstood victims. Martyrs battling against the control of the British. Press and royal rules is a bit ironic. The series, in the end, seemed to focus more on what Meghan wanted people to believe, rather than what truly happened. It was less of a documentary and more of a vanity project, a flashy, over-the-top effort to rewrite history with Meghan as the main character. Then, there's her ongoing clash with the media. Meghan often criticizes tabloids for being invasive and toxic, but let's not pretend she doesn't know how to use them to her advantage. Whether it's perfectly timed photo opportunities or carefully crafted press statements, Meghan has learned how to use the media to serve her needs. Her relationship with the press is like a bad romantic comedy, full of drama, contradictions, and a hefty dose of self-delusion. But the most striking part of Meghan's story is how she insists on presenting herself as a voice for those without one. It's a nice idea, but actions speak louder than words, and her actions often show a different story. For someone who claims to champion equality and empowerment, Meghan has a way of making everything revolve around herself. Her speeches, projects, and even charitable work often seem more about keeping the spotlight on her than truly lifting others up. Take her well-known United Nations speech, for example. She presented herself as a feminist icon, but avoided acknowledging her own privilege. The speech was full of buzzwords and uplifting phrases, but it lacked real depth. It was classic Meghan, polished, self-congratulatory, and out of touch. Then, there's her habit of pushing people away. From palace staff to former friends, the number of relationships she has strained is hard to ignore. Her supporters may say she's just misunderstood, but when the same pattern keeps repeating, it raises a question. Is everyone else really the problem? Or is it Meghan? Meghan's much-publicized departure from royal life, once framed as a bold step toward independence, now feels increasingly empty. She didn't step away from the royal family. She stepped into a new role as the self-proclaimed queen of victimhood. Her exit wasn't about leaving a toxic environment. It was about avoiding accountability while holding on to the privileges of royal status. Then there's the lingering mystery around her children's births. The surrogacy rumors may never be proven, but her refusal to address them directly only fuels speculation. For someone who claims to value transparency, she has a habit of dodging simple questions with simple answers. It's yet another example of her preference for secrecy, which contradicts her carefully crafted image as an advocate for openness and honesty. At the end of the day, Meghan Markle's greatest achievement isn't her acting career, royal marriage, or charitable efforts. It's her ability to keep herself at the center of attention. No matter the situation, Meghan always finds a way to stay in the conversation. Whether caught in controversy or portraying herself as the victim, she knows how to remain relevant. And that may be the most telling part of her character. She's not a trailblazer, a hero, or even an especially compelling figure. She's a master of manipulation, a skilled self-promoter, and, above all, a deeply polarizing personality who thrives on attention. The more you look past Meghan Markle's carefully curated image, the clearer it becomes. There's not much substance beneath the surface. Her story isn't one of triumph or tragedy. It's a cautionary tale about the risks of believing your own hype. For someone so focused on controlling the narrative, she might do well to remember that actions speak louder than words. And right. Now, her actions suggest she's more interested in self-preservation than self-reflection. So, what do you think? Another chapter in the ever-dramatic Meghan Markle saga, or is there more to the story? Will Meghan's strategies keep her in the spotlight, or is the world finally seeing through the act? Share your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you think. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. And of course, share this with friends who love dissecting royal drama as much as we do. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.